Hello everyone, I'm Raj Bagal. I'm working as a cybersecurity analyst in Indian Cybersecurity Solutions. Today, I welcome you everyone for a live session. Today, we'll be discussing about sec- uh, like, uh, we'll be discussing about sensitive data exposure. Let me share my screen. One second. Let me share my screen. Yeah. I hope visible. Today we'll be discussing about sensitive data exposure and protecting your information. Sensitive data. What is sensitive data? Sensitive data means personal information and personal information your identity, those all, and office financial assets. Those all comes under the sensitive data exposure, and we will be looking for it like how to protect your information. Understanding the risk, what are the risks risks in this like sensitive data exposure to financial frauds and reputational damage for the companies like can lead to identity theft. Someone will be pretending to you like in the recent times like we can see uh, using AI they are doing the financial frauds identity theft. They'll be calling you and asking we want some money like this these are some of the risk. Data breaches can costly legal liabilities, fines, and loss of customers' trust. These all will be the risks of the sensitive data exposure. Next, identifying sensitive data. Like, what is the sensitive data? What are the type sensitive data, and what comes here in the sensitive data? Like, what for what we need to give the protection in the sensitive data. For protecting sensitive data, we'll be taking like financial records, uh, personal identities, personal identities. Those all comes under the recognizing under the robust. These all require the robust protection security. Like it should not go into the hackers' hands. In the recent past years, we have seen some data breaches it's around 800 million other data breaches in 2023 and in Domino's India 1 million credit cards users data breached in 2021 and 80,000 people of COVID-19 breach data breach in 2023. In the recent times, like we need to do security measures so that data can be accessed by the unknown users or someone they should not be seen. We'll be discussing about in the later in the topic access control and authentication. Like first we need to restrict the access, like who can access the data or who can modify the data, so that here we can and so that the data leakage sensitive data or leakage or data breaching is very less. Strong authentication, like we need to use strong authentication like biometric or complex passwords so that no data will be able to breach. Audit trails like need to maintain the log so that who is accessing that data or who is viewing the data. We can see that least privilege means like we need to privilege the user so that they cannot be access the data that they cannot access. Is called least privilege. Like we need to give the least privilege so that they can access only the data who can accessible to that data. We can just assign the roles for them like who can access this data, who are not. Here we'll be doing that. Encryption means formatting the data so that without the decryption key they can't be able to view the data normally. Encrypting, like it will be encrypted, it is a different text format. It will be in a text format, but it will be it keeps us from unauthorized access, so the hacker can't be get the data, ensuring the confidentiality and integrity. data masking techniques such as like we'll be do hashing and tokenization to protect the sensitive information and realistic looking data without compromising the original context. Secure data storage and transmission, we need to safeguard the sensitive data, for that we need robust storage, like means like we need vast storage, so that like and the transmission protocols, like so that we can implement secure transmission between the client or anything, so that our data can't be leaked, and virtual private networks to protect the data, and transit regular backup critical information, and implement access controls to prevent unauthorized access. Like we need to prevent access for them, like who doesn't want to see the data. Like we need to just give them. We just don't want to view them our data. We just need them, like to prevent securely. We have to, like we need to enable secured through encryption by SSL or TLS. Like we need to monitor the traffic, any if we found any network like suspicious activity, just like audit, we need to do security audit regularly, so that like we the sensitive data like won't be exposed. These are some of the mitigations for like to do employee training. Like we need to train employees, and we need to give them awareness, so that these sensitive data exposures won't be happening. Like comprehensive training, we need to train them in a secure, all employees, like identifying phishing items, like tell them like how they are phishing, like how the phishing email looks, or safety handling sensitive data. We need to like give aware that, like we need to train them, like what is this, what are that, like info covering, like continuous education, we need to engage them in the continuous program, so that like they will be up to date in this field, so that data breaches may be avoided. Uh, like fostering a security culture, like they need to engage in the events, so that in the cyber security events, so that they're able to know how to protect that data from the hackers or attackers side. Incident response in, we need to train employees, so that like they will be able to respond immediately when the security data was breached, how to incident, like they need to mitigate how the data should be mitigated. Those are like incident response and breach notification. First, incident detection, we need to robust monitoring system, like we need to maintain a monitoring system for that, and identify immediately for the data breaches, and incident assessment, like we need to investigate what were and the what is the scope, severity, and the impact of the incident. Next, containment, like we need to uh, take an immediate action and isolate the system, so that no information should be leaked, so that it will be safe for the company, or like a company, or for anyone. So like again, next, breach notification, and by company, like notification drawing by promptly informing the affected individuals, like we need to implement, like notify the individuals whose data has been leaked, so that they will be like in a they will be like, how to tell it, how can I put it, mm, they'll be in their safe, like they'll be looking for safe, do not to be get scammed by someone else, so they we won't be trusting some random guy, like yeah. Incident recovery, like restore normal operations, recover any lost compromised data, like we need to recover the data, so implement it, like we need to implement additional securities, prevent like we need to prevent these futures in we need to prevent these similar incidents in the future. Lessons, regulatory compliance and industry standards, like legal obligations, as you can see, such as GDPR, PCI DSS, to ensure sensitive data is handled securely and avoid costly penalties. Like we need to maintain and secure data in a way that, so that we'll be avoid costly penalties, so that like no information of the person or financial security information of the company should not be leaked outside, so that they will be avoiding the costly penalties. Industry best practices, like we can recognize standards, like we can data protection strategies, like we can discuss the we, as you can see here, ISO 27001 provides nice standards as their data protection strategies, NIST, CSF or CISS third party certificate. Like we can obtain relevant, like we can obtain a relevant certificate for SOC 2 or hit trust to build the trust with the customers, and protect the integrity of the data. Regulatory audits, like we need to do regularly audits, so that if we found any law for any flaws in the website or in the server, or so that we can avoid the data breaches. Continuous monitoring and improvements, like we need to continuous the monitoring, like we need to proactive surveillance, we need to continuously monitor the server systems, like so that if there is any security threat or vulnerabilities in the system, like we can be able to detect and mitigate them. We need to conduct regular assignments, like public periodic assessments, like we need to regulate SI continues risk assessment to identify the flaws in the weaknesses and ensure their effectiveness of your data protection. Like we need to protect our data, so like we need to conduct regular assessments and identifying weaknesses in the website or anything. Continuous improvement, like we need to analyze the security data and adapt the policies, and just we need to update every time. Those are like we need to update the firewall, so that we'll be stay up to date, and the customers will be having the trust to buy your software, or to use your app. So that we need to do continuous improvement, so that your customer is like trusting you, and your information will be safe in the employees feedback, like we need to take the feedback from the employee suggestions and improving the security, so that we can share and continuous learning, so that there will be learning how the security, and we can ensure the strict security policy, so that the data breach can't be happen. So this is all about uh, sensitive data exposure. This is all about the sensitive data exposure.